we've got you for about half an hour,
Yeah.
and we thought we'd give you 10 minutes or so to talk about the bill and your intentions, and then there'll be some questions.
Oh, okay. Well, look, thank you very much, committee members, for allowing me to come along. I just want to step aside from the kind of political froth at the moment and take us to the core of the bill, what I think I was doing. And I want you to please believe, like, I go back on this issue to about 1986, 87, 88, when I first got involved with where industry meets environment, meets Māori rights tribunal. So that, quite apart from my upbringing up near the 90 Mile Beach, that was my first introduction to where the different forces meet each other in the fisheries sector. So, most of what's in this bill, Mr. Chairman, other governments have sought to do. The thing that laid me low on the undersized fish, it was in the bill, if I can start there, because that's what's got me in trouble. If I can start there, it was in the bill after my dear friend David Parker introduced it and put it in an earlier version of fisheries legislation. And on that question, what I thought I was doing, because a number of you have hammered me for it, is that if harvesters who have quota catch fish, either intentionally, unintentionally, they should be required to bring it back to shore and it should come off their quota. Obviously, that's now cancelled and dead after the Prime Minister and various others responded to the viral campaign. But from an international fisheries perspective, which is why David Parker, because I rang him and asked him, why the hell did you do this in the first place? He said, well, Shane, I was advised internationally that is the best way to change the behaviour of harvesters and penalise them because it will come off their legal entitlement. So that's now gone. So it probably wasn't well explained by me, but once Mr. Chair, it went viral, then we all piled in on it. And then I met with the PM in Winston. That was it. But I want everyone to know there was actually a rationale to it. Right. So if I can put that to the side, that's dead. On the question of the cameras, and I want to address my colleagues on the Green Party, for me, it's a constitutional principle that the state is responsible for undertaking enforcement action, prosecutions, or using the force of law to penalise or to take people into our legal courts. It is not the NGOs, it is not the public. So I just want you to understand that's philosophically what I've explained to my colleagues. And there's one other area I'd like to cover off, and then I'll just take questions. And look, I'm fully aware, Mr. Chair, the bill won't pass unless it has a majority of votes. But I do feel we do need to pass a bill of some sorts because there are some legislative cliffs, which no doubt when I'm gone, you can talk to the officials about. However, the final other area which seems to have got everyone highly agitated is the ability to carry an entitlement forward over multiple years, which you can do at the margin under the current law. And we did look at doing this under COVID, for example, that if there was disfigurement in the capacity of people to catch fish, Jacinda and us looked at whether or not you should carry the quota forward into another year. So what I have put on the bill, or I've got the government to agree to put on the bill, is the capacity for us to carry quota forward, and it still will be in a set of guardrails that are defined by the purpose of the Act. I unashamedly say to you that a lot of these ideas have been driven by me because of my concerns about productivity, efficiency, contributions to enabling the industry to evolve, which is an industry based on property rights. I have a kind of war of words going with the recreational sector, but I want to say to you, nothing in this bill inhibits a recreational man or woman from catching fish. And we have the most permissive regime in the world for recreational fisheries. We do not require reporting. We do not even fully know how much fish is taken out of the ocean by the recreational sector. We have a model, but that model, I can tell you to the last kilo how much fish that Sanfords catch. I cannot tell you how much recreationals catch. So they are defending an incredibly liberal and permissive regime. And I suspect that in the future, another government will have to look at that. But it's gunpowder for this minister, so I'll just park it. So anyway, that's my opinion.
Thanks, Minister. We'll go to questions. Steve.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just on the camera footage, Minister, the reason for such extensive surveillance in commercial fishing is because of a long history of breaches and exceedances of limits, exceedances of law, dumping, all sorts of questionable practices, hauling up coral and you name it. Was it not for that footage, there would be no evidential basis for either the state prosecuting breaches or for the public to even know, because as we've seen from previous releases, reporting on breaches was not accurate on the part of the commercial industry. So the question is, if this is publicly owned footage belonging to the state, why can the public not utilize it or see it to understand what's going on in the fishery, including advocates for better enforcement of the law and advocates for protection of what is, after all, a commons?
Well, I kind of agree with most of what you're saying, Steve, but it comes down to trust. Okay, I don't trust a lot of your fellow travellers. Obviously, I trust you as a partner. I'll be straight up with you. I do not trust a lot of your fellow travellers.
They probably don't trust you either, Minister.
Pardon?
They probably don't trust you either.
Well, Gary Taylor, we agree to disagree. Russell has a stroke every time he sees me. But I mean, put all that to the side. What I'm asking, Steve, for you to consider is that we should trust constitutionally the people we put in a position of power to enforce through the powers of the state, prosecutorial or legal decisions. I don't think it's fair to my fellow New Zealanders that indiscriminate footage be made available, then weaponized, then taken out of context and unfairly used. Because I would say the same thing should happen to his industry, the cow industry, the calf industry. And I think that I accept the coverage changes behavior, but I'm asking you to, as a parliamentarian, stay with the model. The enforcement of the law in the country rests with the cops and the regulators. Does not rest with Russell, doesn't rest with New Zealand First. That's how our constitutional system works. That at the pith of what I'm saying is probably the hill that I'd die on.
Tiana.
Yeah, it was a sup on what Rachel was saying. I think but well, because it comes down to social license. In order for anything to happen, right, you've got to have enough people in the country to be able to support that, and that's right across the fishery. And I was at that event last night, and there are very strong concerns around bottom trawling, strong concerns people are opposed to bottom trawling. So how's the balance going to happen, given that the social license around that is evaporating?
Okay, so can I put it another way? You and I as Māori, we don't have a social license, we have rights. And I'm not surrendering those rights. Those rights are the full and final settlement after a century and a half of colonisation. I don't care about these modern innovations of social licence. I've got rights. And I feel that social licence is often used as a convenient way of smothering or circumventing the fact that there are rights. So philosophically, that's where I come from. Secondly, I had Jono and Blair in my office yesterday, and I told the staff, look, whatever information, unless I'm breaking the law, just give it all to them. In terms of the granularity of what peak around the Chathams we're finding, I mean, this is obviously a major surprise to Emma. But if we're going to have a debate for the next 5-10 years, then let it be based on facts. And the fact that I put to you as committee members, 70% of the fish in New Zealand is currently caught by purse seining or dredging. So I don't think it's fair to use social licence as a basis for smudging out 70% of an industry. But it is an easy out, as I told Blair and Jono. I told Jono to go into politics, by the way. You're 36 years old. Stop swimming and against the tide and hop into politics and go with the tide. And he probably thought, who's that fat old guy telling me what to do? So I guess I'd say, Jono, that I just cannot agree, guys. I just cannot agree that.
It's probably more about how you navigate it.
Pardon?
We're parliamentarians, we've got to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but it just seems to me that if we want to stop, just like I said, look, if we want to stop that fishing practice and those harvesting techniques, and I accept that there's a burgeoning desire to do that, then get ready on behalf of society to purchase the rights back. Because we're making a moral judgment. Some unseen coral at some point in the ocean is of more importance to the rights that we have. And I don't agree with you. I just do not agree. So that some obscure coral has more moral significance than my rights.
Minister, they're trashing the ocean though.
Yeah.
And so they're destroying the fishery for their own.
And that coral plays a role.
Hang on,
Yeah.
Steve's.
Yeah, let's just agree to disagree. I do not believe that the level of destruction in the New Zealand fishing industry is anywhere at the catastrophic level that Attenborough and all these other do-gooders depict it as. And if that's the standard that we're going to run, then let's put all the kahikatea forests of the Hauraki Plains back.
Well, there's a point, you can't put them back once they're gone. That's what we're trying to stop it.
No, of course you can put it
Trying to
back. You
stop
can
them.
close down farming and you can plant 1 trillion trees.
And wait 1,000 years.
Exactly.
I've got a sup on this because I just want to push back on that.
Last question.
Which is the coral and what's on the bottom of the ocean plays a critical role in actually ensuring the survivability of the stock. And that's the point, is that if we do continue to do the destruction, and that's why I came back to that comment I made, which was we all wanted to fund the fishery. So I just have to push back that the role of the coral and what's on the seafloor is important for spawning and ensuring we have stock that we can go and fish to feed ourselves and the world.
But do you really believe, like this is a great discussion, does the Labour Party really believe that we are presiding over an industry which earns about $2 billion? So it's not an inordinately large industry. Do you really believe that since 1986, we've been presiding over the irreversible destruction of our seafloor? I don't.
I think that is actually
And I think it's been weaponized.
I disagree with you, and I think that if we continue down this path, that's when we end up in a situation where we say, can we go back? And
Oh, that's what
yeah.
we're
And this is
gonna-
what we're here to discuss.
Yeah,
But there is collapse of
look,
fisheries,
I'm
though.
sorry, we're running out of time. But thank
So
you
look,
very
I-
much for your time,
yeah.
Minister.
My feeling is we should try and get the bill back into the House. And then if it does help to pop along and at a more informal level to talk to my Labour colleagues, erstwhile colleagues, or I'm up for it. But if the bill is going to be so emasculated, then what I think needs to happen, Mr. Chair, is that we need a bill of some sort because of certain legislative cliffs. I'll be very disappointed because I regard the fishing industry as being really important, not only for food and protein, but as a key employer of regional communities. And the ideas that I'm trying to push forward, not all of them. I'll take your point about judicial review. That's worth fighting for.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Minister.